Imagine this. You're walking through a bustling city street. The noise of traffic is overwhelming, bright lights flash all around, and the crowd's chatter feels like a storm in your head. Your heart races, your breath quickens, and you feel like you need to escape. This is what sensory overload feels like for many people with anxiety. But what if there were ways to manage this overwhelming experience? Sensory overload is a common issue for individuals with anxiety disorders. It occurs when one or more of the body's senses are overstimulated, leading to feelings of being overwhelmed and anxious. In today's video, we're going to explore the connection between anxiety and sensory overload and share practical coping strategies to help manage hypersensitivity. 1. Understanding sensory overload. To understand sensory overload, let's first break down what it involves. Our senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, constantly send information to our brain. Usually, our brain filters and processes this information efficiently. However, when too much sensory input is received at once, it can overwhelm the brain's processing capabilities. For people with anxiety, this overload can be particularly intense. Everyday situations, like a crowded supermarket or a noisy party, can become unbearable. The constant barrage of sensory input can trigger anxiety symptoms such as rapid heartbeat, sweating, and a feeling of panic. Sensory overload isn't limited to external stimuli. Internal stimuli like intense emotions or thoughts can also contribute. The key is understanding how these various factors interact and exacerbate anxiety. 2. The connection between anxiety and sensory overload. Anxiety and sensory overload are closely linked. When you're anxious, your body's fight or flight response is activated, making you more sensitive to sensory input. This heightened state of alertness can make even mild sensory stimuli feel overwhelming. Conversely, experiencing sensory overload can trigger or worsen anxiety. The two feed into each other, creating a cycle that's hard to break. Understanding this connection is crucial for developing effective coping strategies. For instance, if you're already feeling anxious, entering a loud, crowded space can push you into sensory overload. Recognizing this pattern allows you to take proactive steps to manage your environment and reduce sensory input when needed. 3. Identifying personal triggers. Everyone's experience with sensory overload is unique. Identifying your personal triggers is the first step toward managing hypersensitivity. Here are some common triggers and how you might recognize them. 1. Loud noises. Sudden or constant loud noises can be overwhelming. If you find yourself feeling anxious or on edge in noisy environments, this could be a trigger for you. 2. Bright lights. Fluorescent lights, flashing lights, or even bright sunlight can cause sensory overload. Pay attention to how you feel in different lighting conditions. 3. Crowded spaces. Being in a crowded place can lead to sensory overload due to the combination of noise, movement, and lack of personal space. Notice if you feel anxious in such settings. 4. Strong smells. Perfumes, cleaning products, or food smells can be overpowering. If strong odors make you feel uneasy, this might be a trigger. 5. Physical touch. Unexpected or constant physical touch can be overwhelming. Observe your reactions to different types of touch and personal space. Keeping a journal to track your experiences can help you identify patterns and triggers. Note the situations where you feel overwhelmed and the specific sensory inputs involved. 4. Coping strategies for managing sensory overload. Once you've identified your triggers, you can begin to develop strategies to cope with sensory overload. Here are some effective techniques. 1. Create a sensory-friendly environment. At home, make your home a sanctuary. Use soft lighting, reduce noise, and incorporate calming scents. Create a space where you can retreat when feeling overwhelmed. At work, if possible, arrange your workspace to minimize sensory input. Use noise-canceling headphones, adjust lighting, and keep your area tidy and organized. 2. Use sensory tools. Earplugs or noise-canceling headphones. These can help reduce auditory input in noisy environments. Sunglasses or visors. Wearing sunglasses indoors might feel odd, but it can significantly reduce visual stress. Weighted blankets. These provide deep pressure stimulation, which can be calming. 3. Practice grounding techniques. Deep breathing. Slow, deep breaths can help calm your nervous system. Progressive muscle relaxation. Tense and then relax each muscle group to release physical tension. Mindfulness. Focus on the present moment using all your senses to ground yourself. 4. Establish routines. Consistent schedules. Having a predictable routine can reduce anxiety and sensory overload by creating a sense of stability. Break tasks into small steps. Large tasks can be overwhelming. Break them down into smaller, manageable steps to avoid feeling overloaded. 5. Take breaks. Sensory breaks. Regularly step away from stimulating environments to give your senses a rest. Find a quiet space to relax and recharge. Nature walks. Spending time in nature can be incredibly soothing. The natural environment often provides a gentle sensory experience that helps calm the mind. 5. Personal stories and testimonials. Hearing from others who have successfully managed sensory overload can be inspiring. Here are a few personal stories. Sarah's story. Sarah struggled with sensory overload for years. She found that wearing noise-canceling headphones and using soft lighting at home made a significant difference. Sarah also practices mindfulness daily, which helps her stay grounded and reduces her overall anxiety levels. Mike's experience. Mike discovered that regular breaks during work helped him manage sensory overload. He takes short walks outside and uses deep breathing exercises to stay calm. Mike's proactive approach has improved his productivity and reduced his anxiety. Emily's journey. Emily uses a combination of grounding techniques and sensory tools to manage her hypersensitivity. She carries earplugs and sunglasses with her at all times and practices progressive muscle relaxation when feeling overwhelmed. Emily's consistent use of these strategies has greatly improved her quality of life. 6. Professional support and resources. If you're struggling with sensory overload and anxiety, seeking professional support can be beneficial. Here are some resources and types of support available. 1. Therapists and counselors. A therapist can help you develop personalized coping strategies and provide support for managing anxiety and sensory overload. 2. Support groups. Joining a support group can connect you with others who understand your experiences and offer practical advice. 3. Online resources. There are many websites and online communities dedicated to anxiety and sensory overload. These can provide valuable information and support. Remember, it's important to find a professional who understands sensory issues and can tailor their approach to your needs. Don't hesitate to reach out for help if you're feeling overwhelmed. 7. Balancing exposure and avoidance. While it's important to manage sensory input, it's also crucial not to become overly reliant on avoidance strategies. Gradual exposure to challenging environments can help desensitize your senses over time. Here are some tips for finding a balance. 1. Start small. Begin with less overwhelming environments and gradually increase exposure. For example, if crowded places are a trigger, start with a smaller gathering and work your way up. 2. Set boundaries. It's okay to set limits and take breaks when needed. Find a balance that allows you to function without feeling overwhelmed. 3. Build resilience. Use coping strategies to build resilience and reduce the impact of sensory overload. The more tools you have at your disposal, the better equipped you'll be to handle challenging situations. Sensory overload and anxiety often go hand in hand, but with the right strategies, you can manage hypersensitivity and improve your quality of life. By understanding your triggers, creating a sensory-friendly environment, and using practical coping techniques, you can reduce the impact of sensory overload. Remember, everyone's journey is unique. It may take time to find what works best for you, but with patience and persistence, you can develop a personalized approach to managing sensory overload and anxiety. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content on mental health and well-being. And don't forget to share your own coping strategies in the comments below. We're all in this together.